Coach PJ here. I ran across this video that was created 6 years ago about 7 businesses you can start tomorrow. And I thought, how fitting. There's a lot of entrepreneurs out there. There's a lot of folks who want to start businesses. And this is what was seen 6 years ago as some businesses to get into. Let's see how they may stand up over time. So that was one business. They talked about networking services. Interesting, because with the pandemic, all of networking has changed. So if you had created a networking business and could pivot pretty quickly, it might be very, very beneficial because people want to network and were not able to. If you had a networking service that was very geographic focused and very much in person, the benefits, the type of community that was built, things like that were very in-person focused, could be a bit of a challenge, as well as geographically different parts of the country were in different levels of networking and different levels of comfort during the pandemic. So it could have been a little bit of a challenge. I know here in Chicago, we saw some networking events blossom and others really wither away and struggle. And a lot of it had to do with how quickly they pivoted in the networking space because it was a challenge. So that's one business. Let's keep watching. Here's another business that's totally pivoted. Think about health and fitness centers. It talks about corporations. Well, corporations are having trouble getting people back into the single office space. And a lot of them are going to remote work centers, remote working, shorter work weeks, just flexibility. And people are working all over the country now. So this, from a health and fitness center, has definitely morphed. Also, folks are doing more from home and have invested in their home fitness centers, their home fitness gyms, in that element. So this one, I'm not certain stands the test of time in its original concept. There's definitely got to be some very, very different type of work on this. Let's keep watching. This is an interesting one. Graffiti removal. Not what I expected to see in 7 businesses you can start tomorrow, but seems like you could. I don't know from a safety perspective whether that's one you want to get into right now. There's been a lot of difficulty. A lot of cities are struggling with how to make sure that the crime, that anything that's happening in their areas, that places people are safe. So not certain if you're going to be operating in the best part of town, shall I say, for graffiti. And that could be a challenge. The upside is I think there's business there. And I think the business, unfortunately, is growing and expanding to areas that are not in your traditional difficult areas. These could be in areas that are more mainstream, shall I say. So the business is probably there. I'm just not certain if going into those areas and where you want to be and your employees' safety might be an issue. Let's keep watching. Okay, nanny services. This is ironic. I was just talking to someone who does nanny services, childcare services, and runs a business for this. And the demand is there. The demand is great, particularly in urban areas where there's 2 working parents. And if there's an opportunity for a gathering, some gatherings, depending on what they're trying to do, will account for childcare. If you're gathering for a conference, they may have childcare on the side. If you're doing a evening gathering at a church or for an event, they may have childcare services provided, and someone needs to do that. So those are definitely options. I saw the pricing. The pricing is definitely 6 years old because the pricing for those type of services has gone up dramatically. But I do think that's a great element to get into. There is some competition from the cash-based, but from a professional services perspective, the customer, the level of professionalism and insurance and all that other stuff, yeah, it's there and it is viable. It is an option. I think 6 years later, there's not that much dramatically different in that industry other than parents are working from home. So they need childcare and maybe a little different feeling in that respect. Let's keep watching. Career counseling, absolutely 100% agree. I believe that career counseling, college counseling, counseling that helps our young people and more seasoned people transition, especially as when COVID hit, a lot of people were looking at whether their job was the job they wanted to be in and whether or not they could stay in that job given the other demands on their work. They're reevaluating their work-life balance and how that works. They may be reevaluating with the cost of gas, the commute. So there's a lot of folks that are moving about in the industry. There's also folks that are in that 50-something that may be moving out of corporations and looking for their next job, their next career. And they're not thinking of retiring at 55, at 60. They're thinking they're going to work until probably 70. And at that point, then change directions or retire in some way. But there's an awful lot of folks who said, I don't want to retire because retired folks, kind of lose their momentum, and that's not good. So they want to stay active in that space. So career counseling services for young people, for anyone in transition, they are definitely a service and they're definitely needed, even 6 years later. Mobile paper shredding. This one's also an interesting one because a dear friend of mine that has since passed was very, very passionate about mobile paper shredding and about bringing paper shredding options into large buildings and to bring kiosk style paper shredding. A couple things. Yes, there's paper. There's paper out there. There's also a movement towards paperless and using less paper. So although it's needed and the shredding and the secrecy, the privacy and keeping things in that space, absolutely. And there's also a movement towards less paper in general. So especially with remote working, you can't have as much paper because you need to share files, you need to share information digitally, because if you're not in the office, you still need to be able to see the files, the information, the workflow. So I would say there's less paper just in general, and where that paper is probably more distributed. There's more digital files these days. So it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It just means it is a shifting marketplace. Pet taxi. Didn't see that one coming either. 6 years ago, people thought pet taxis were it. I have yet to see one around here, or I've yet to use one, and I have a dog. I've had a dog for a long time. I have a new puppy now. I think actually a slight twist on that might be child taxi services, I do see that being more prevalent, where parents need to get their kids very safely, very securely from one place to the next. And it's a little tricky for them to drop and pull away, even if they're working from home. So having a child safe option for taxi services for your kid is a real thing. The pet, I'm not certain. I haven't seen it, but maybe it's a real thing. How often they have to go to the vet? Maybe once every couple of months, maybe more, maybe less, but doesn't seem like a huge repeat business where they're going weekly or there's a need to go there. Now, if you said pet daycare and taking my dog to and from daycare, there's a lot of folks doing that. So maybe it's a different twist on the same thing. And that's all. Those are the 7 businesses that you can start tomorrow, according to Forbes 6 years ago. So I don't know if that's all of them, but I thought that was interesting. The pandemic in 6 years' time changes our perspective. So what we might think of 6 years ago might be good businesses. Today, we have to look differently at it. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe below. If there's a video that you'd like me to respond to or react to, would love to do that. Put that in the comments below as well. If you liked what I said here and you're thinking about starting a business and you'd like to talk more about it, we can get on a quick call. We can grab coffee. If you just know this is where you want to head, then let's get together. Let's look deep into what you're trying to accomplish. Let's build out your business plan and let's get you started. Your Business Profit, helping you get the business you deserve. Until next time.